The 7th generation of Pokémon will begin this year with 2 new games called Pokémon Sun and Moon. As a lifelong Pokémon fan, Sun and Moon are going to be really important games to me, but for one of two very different reasons. Either it's going to renew my faith and my love in the franchise, or it's going to be the final nail in the coffin for me. Here's why. I've put thousands of hours into Pokémon over my life, mainly thanks to Red and Yellow and Silver and Crystal as a kid, which I just played over and over and over again. After the first 2 generations, it kind of began to lose its magic for me, and it was no longer cool to like Pokémon in high school, but I was still playing it in secret, and there was actually some really important things happening to the series, such as the introduction of abilities and natures and held items and EVs, and all of these things are now staples in the Pokémon games. However, I did feel like the series was entering a bit of a downward spiral and that nothing was ever going to really feel the same or be as special to me as those first 2 generations were. But then Generation 5 happened. Black and White, in my opinion, are the best Pokémon games in the entire series. Essentially what they were doing with Black and White was that they were trying to recreate those same feelings that we felt in Red and Blue. But now they've got years of experience making games, and the technology was at a point where they could do really interesting things that they wanted to do in the first place, and they had just perfected the formula of the game so well. The brand new area had exclusively new Pokémon, just like Red and Blue, and there was 156 new ones, which is the highest of any generation, including Gen 1, which is second with 151. And I think they had some of the most well-designed Pokémon since Gen 2. It had all the features you wanted from the previous game, such as being able to battle and trade with your friends online. It had the best story that the franchise has still ever seen, and it tackled an issue that had been haunting the franchise for its entire life, the perceived abuse of Pokémon in the world. The endgame was fantastic because it opened up an entire half of the map after you'd beaten the Elite Four, and rewarded your hard work in beating the game with access to all the old Pokémon that we know and love. I could go on forever, but just know I haven't even mentioned my favourite part of the game. The battle subway. So this got me really excited about Pokémon again, thinking that they had just gone through a rough patch, but they're on the way back up. That's the rain. I hope you can't hear that. I was super excited to buy X and Y, and I bought it as soon as I finished my uni exams, only to find that they had completely changed the formula and had made the worst Pokémon game so far. There's just so much I hate about X and Y. My biggest complaint is that you don't actually have to work for a single thing in the game. Everything's just kind of given to you. So you begin with a starter, I mean that's cool, you have to start with a Pokemon. Oh look, there's immediately a Pikachu you can find. And then you get given an experience share, which is no longer an experience share, it's an experience all, and it gives all your Pokemon in the party experience, so you don't have to train any of them, just one. You can just have another starter. One of the beloved Pokemon from the first games. Oh, and they can Mega Evolve as well. We're just going to give you a Mega Evolving Pokemon. In fact, we'll give you 2 Mega Evolving Pokemon. Have a Lucario. You're just completely spoiled for choice so early on in the game, and it just feels overwhelming with all these amazing Pokemon that you're getting just given to you. In X and Y, you can find over 80 different Pokemon in the wild before you even hit the second gym. Compare that to Black and White, where you can only find 12 before the second gym. Not to mention in X and Y that you get immediate access to the Wonder Trade. The game is also significantly easier. I restarted the game multiple times trying to make the game a bit harder for me in different ways, but I never found it challenging in the slightest. They massively simplified the competitive side of things, removing most of the depth that they have been creating over the years. It just kind of felt like they were pandering to their audience a little bit. Like they went, here, just have everything you want immediately. And that sounds really good on paper, but it just doesn't make for rewarding gameplay. The other major problem I had with Generation 6 was Mega Evolutions. I think they're bad for the series as a whole. Not only are they completely overpowered and funnel Pokemon into a single limited setup, but it's changed the way that all future Pokemon are going to be improved on. Prior to that, it was a normal evolution where Pokemon could learn new moves, they could have varying permanent stat changes, they could actually hold items, but now they're just going to be given Mega Evolutions, and Pokemon that really deserve an evolution, such as Heracross and Absol and Corsola and Dunsparce, they're not going to get an evolution, they're just going to get a Mega. And the other side of it is that there's these already powerful Pokemon becoming absurdly powerful with their Megas, and they're just getting banned from competitive play, so it's kind of pointless. So I feel like Mega Evolutions have not only ruined Gen 6, but also any future generations, and even somehow managed to impact previous generations. So this leaves Pokemon Sun and Moon in a pretty awkward place. If they want it to be good, I feel like they have to undo this new formula that they created with X and Y and not just give you everything and be so generous, but make you actually work to have all these cool Pokemon. It also needs to have less Megas involved and potentially even new evolutions for old Pokemon. But if they do this, it's just going to be seen as a step back, and it's not going to happen. They're not going to do that. And that's why I'm nervous about Sun and Moon. It's just going to build on this new formula and completely do away with all the perfecting of the old formula that they've been doing over years. It might be a step in the right direction. They might be able to improve on the new formula and make something really great of it. But I don't know, I'm skeptical. X and Y might have been the death of the series for me, and it's going to be up to Sun and Moon to redeem that. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you disagree with my opinions about X and Y, because I don't think most people feel that way. I have a few videos coming up which are going to be rather different to what I've been doing on this channel so far, so I'd love for you to join me, but I should have one of them in the next couple of weeks. So, see you then.